Welcome back, you seeker of understanding, to another deep dive. Today, we're setting our sights on a truly illuminating corner of the law of one material, session 66.
Ah, yes, session 66. This one, as you probably know, gives us a really profound look into healing, self-responsibility, and that fascinating interplay between our inner world and, well, our physical experience.
All channeled through Ra, of course.
Exactly. And it's a dense session. It really is, packed with insights. We're going to try and unpack it piece by piece.
That's the plan. Think of this as your personal guided tour through session 66, our mission. Take each question, Ra's response, and really pull out the core wisdom. Find those aha moments, you know?
Definitely. We want to explore with open minds, focusing on the positive knowledge being shared here.
So let's dive right in, starting at the beginning. Question 66.1, which is about the instrument's condition, Carla's condition.
Right, so the question asks about her well-being, and Ra notes that, well, vital energies are somewhat low, not seriously depleted, but low. But physical energy is reported as extremely low, and what this immediately flags for you is the constant care and monitoring needed for this kind of deep channeling work.
It really underscores the demands, doesn't it? The physical toll,
Absolutely, it's very real.
which leads naturally to the next point, question 66.2. They ask about seeking help from the Confederation for these physical issues, but crucially, while respecting free will.
And Ra's answer is, well, it's a very direct no.
Just flat out no.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And for you, this just powerfully reinforces one of the absolute cornerstones of the law of one, free will, the first distortion.
Mhm.
Even with the best intentions, external intervention like that, it's deemed inappropriate. It really hammers home the idea that your journey, your healing, it's ultimately down to you, self-responsibility.
Right. So if external help isn't the way, the next logical question, 66.3, asks about the best ways to support the instrument, Carla, physically,
And Rhea revisits some methods we've heard before, some nurturing practices.
like exercise.
Yes, gentle exercise within ability, proper nutrition, positive social interaction, loving sexual expression, what Ra calls green ray or above,
Right?
and also sharing experiences within the group, lovingly and helpfully. What's really encouraging for you here is Ra saying these are being done with great harmony, despite third density challenges.
That says a lot about the group's dedication.
It does. And Ra also stresses the need for Carla to continue practices she'd recently started.
Which brings us neatly to 66.4.
Okay.
Okay, which practices are those? Just wanting the specifics.
Exactly, a natural follow-up.
Yeah.
Ra clarifies it includes the exercises mentioned before and also significantly the variety of experiences Carla had been seeking.
Okay.
Now, here's a subtle point, maybe an important shift for you to notice. Ra mentions this seeking of variety seems to be becoming less mandatory.
Less mandatory. What might that imply?
Well, it could suggest maybe an evolution in her needs, or perhaps a growing integration, needing less external stuff for growth. Just a thought.
Interesting. Okay, now we get into a really fascinating area, starting with 66.5.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the mechanics of healing, specifically with a crystallized healer.
Yes. The questioner, Don, offers an analogy. He compares it to a pyramid, drawing light in the left hand, emitting through the right to realign chakras.
Sounds like a decent starting point.
It is, and Ra actually affirms the analogy, comparing it to the king's chamber in a pyramid.
Mm.
But then Ra gives this incredibly detailed breakdown of the energy flow within the healer.
Okay, walk us through it.
All right, imagine energy coming in through an outstretched polarized hand. It circulates through energy points down to the base of the spine, the feet,
Uh-huh.
then spirals up through red, yellow, and green centers, like a mini king's chamber energy flow, Ra says.
Wow.
Then it continues up through the blue center and connects back to intelligent infinity via a gateway. Now, the absolute key point for you in this healing process, Ra explicitly says the healing prana, the life force, moves from the green center.
The heart chakra.
Exactly, the center of love, compassion. It moves from there out through the polarized right hand to the person seeking healing.
So what are the main takeaways from that complex flow?
Well, first, the absolute centrality of the green ray,
Yep.
love. It's the source of the healing energy. It's not just technique, it's fundamentally heart-centered.
Right.
And second, notice how the healer is a conduit. Energy flows through them, connecting them to that higher source, intelligent infinity. The healer isn't doing the healing, they're facilitating a connection.
That's a huge distinction. Ra also mentions people using the yellow ray configuration for energy transfer. Sounds like that's not the best way for lasting healing.
That's a really crucial distinction for you, yes. Raz says the effects are questionable. There's a risk the seeker gets dependent on the healer without true, deep healing happening.
Why is that?
Ra mentions a lack of penetration of the armoring shell. It suggests it's more superficial, doesn't get to the root cause, doesn't really help realign things properly.
Got it. Okay, this leads into 66.6, focusing on wanderers, those beings from higher densities here to help. Dawn notes they might try to heal but have little success. Why?
Ra gives a beautiful, really relatable analogy here. They compare the wanderer trying to heal in 3D to an infant trying to speak.
Ah.
The knowledge is in there from home, but the ability to fully manifest it healing, in
Mhm.
this case, is limited by the third density mind-body-spirit complex they've chosen.
So they remember how easy it was back home, but the rules are different here.
Exactly. The memory's there, but the operating system, so to speak, is different. And Ra points out, interestingly, that a wanderer's stronger desire to serve only makes them slightly more likely to heal than a native 3D being.
Wow, only slightly. It's like having the blueprint, but missing some tools or the right environment.
That's a great way to put it.
Then question 66.7 shifts to entities who are dual activated third and fourth density bodies, but not wanderers. Can they use these healing techniques?
Ra suggests, yeah, often they can. They have the potential. But being early fourth density, their main focus, their desires, might still be more on their own integration into that new vibration.
So the desire to heal others might not be fully front and center yet.
Possibly not. It might not be fully activated.
Okay. Following up on wanderers again, question 66.8 looks at a wanderer in 3D who wants to learn healing. Dawn suggests their first step must be balancing their own energy centers.
And Ra confirms that emphatically, states a fundamental principle. A healer can only channel balance effectively after achieving significant balance themselves.
The old physician, heal thyself.
Precisely. Ra puts it beautifully. Healing is first practiced upon the self. It's essential groundwork of self-awareness, energetic alignment, before you can really facilitate for others.
Makes sense. Question 66.9 goes into a trickier scenario. What if someone has programmed a condition, a catalyst for growth, consciously or unconsciously, and then seeks healing for it? How does the healer fit in?
Ra gives a nuanced answer here. Acknowledges Dawn's thinking isn't totally wrong, but flags a certain rigidity. The key thing for you to grasp is the healer's role isn't imposing an outcome.
Okay.
It's offering an opportunity for the seeker's energy centers or the mind-body-spirit connections to realign.
But the choice remains with the seeker.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
They have free will to accept this new energetic possibility or stay as they are. It really highlights the seeker's sovereignty. Ra contrasts this with that yellow ray transfer, which might kind of nudge free will aside a bit.
That's a really vital distinction. The healer offers a path, but the seeker chooses whether to walk it. This seems emphasized again in 66.10 about the philosophical difference between self-healing and being healed by another.
Right. And Ra clarifies that really at the core, there is no fundamental difference.
Interesting.
The healer is a channel, a facilitator for intelligent energy. They provide the opportunity for the entity to heal themselves. And Ra stresses, a healer should only act if asked for aid.
That's a powerful message for healers, isn't it? Your role is creating the conditions, not being the cure itself.
Exactly, offering the opportunity.
So following that, question 66.1 asks if seeking out focused light energy, like from a crystallized healer or a pyramid, is a valid way to seek healing.
Absolutely, Ra affirms this. These are recognized ways an entity can consciously look for and engage with energies that can support their healing.
And what about other ways? Question 66.1 asks about other paths to healing.
And here Ra drops a really profound insight. Perhaps the greatest healer is within the self and may be tapped with continued meditation.
Wow. Points right back to our own inner power.
It really does. The potential unlocked through that consistent interconnection, though Ra also acknowledges the value of all the various healing modalities humanity has developed.
Okay. Now, 66.13 takes a fascinating detour into psychic surgery in the Philippines. Dawn suggests it might be a kind of training aid to rewire the patient's mind through belief.
And Ra confirms that analysis directly. Says, yes, that's largely it. Yes. Ra elaborates. If a physical issue doesn't have much emotional or mental charge for the person, what seems to dematerialize might actually stay gone.
Okay.
But if the condition carries a big energetic charge, it might just rematerialize. The key thing, Ra says, isn't the temporary vanishing act.
What is it then?
It's the seeker choosing, consciously or not, to adopt a new, healthy configuration in what Ra calls time-space. That's the deeper window.
Time-space, not just our physical space-time.
Exactly. Ra uses the example of Carla's cysts, which apparently lack charge, versus her kidneys, which carried a significant charge. The focus shifts from the spectacle to the seeker choosing a new, healthy pattern energetically.
That's incredibly insightful. It reframes the whole thing, which leads right into 66.1 FIA asking for a clearer explanation of this configuration in time-space.
Right. Ra clarifies that the actual healing happens primarily in the time-space part of the mind-body-spirit complex. This new, healthy pattern is first adopted by the etheric body.
The template, the foremaker.
Exactly. And then it manifests in our physical space-time illusion. Adopting health at that etheric time-space level is what truly matters.
And what drives that adoption?
Will. The transdimensional power of will. The seeker's deep desire causes the indigo body, the higher self aspect, to use this new configuration, and that reforms the physical body, potentially almost instantly.
Wow, even for young children.
Yes. Ray mentions that even a young child's time-space complex is always actively willing its chosen experiences or distortions, regardless of their apparent age or conscious understanding in space-time.
So it's the energetic blueprint, driven by intention, shaping the physical. Question 66.15 then asks, is this desire and will just the seekers, or does the crystallized healer contribute their will too?
Ra emphasizes that the fundamental driver, the desire, the will, is ultimately the creator's activity manifesting through the individual seeker.
Not the healer's will.
No. The crystallized healer, Ra says, has no independent will in this. They're a pure channel, offering the opportunity without attachment to outcome, knowing all is one.
That perfectly captures the selfless aspect of true healing facilitation. Okay, 66.16 follows up. Is a strong desire from the seeker necessary for healing to happen?
Ra affirms, yes, a strong desire for healing is needed, at least on some level. But they add important nuances.
Such as?
Well, there might be subconscious desires for the familiar distortions or deeper, often hidden reasons why someone holds on to imbalance. It's not always just a straightforward conscious wish for wellness.
That makes total sense. We can want one thing consciously, but deeper parts might have other plans. Question 66.17 asks if the reason we hold on to these appropriate distortions is because they actually help our evolution and polarity path.
And Ra gives a direct yes to that, confirms it. Even the challenges, the imbalances can serve a purpose in our growth, providing lessons, guiding us towards our chosen path.
So even the difficult stuff has a higher purpose, potentially. Now, 66.18 presents a really interesting paradox. Someone striving for service to others might be held back by distortions they chose earlier to help them reach that understanding. Can meditation help resolve this?
Absolutely. Ra agrees wholeheartedly. Through meditation, the entity can understand the mental patterns fueling the physical issue.
And change them.
Yes, and begin to shift those patterns. This can alleviate the physical side and actually enhance their ability to serve. Ra notes the reasons for programming distortions can be complex, but meditation is always a powerful tool for self-knowledge and change.
Good advice. Shifting gears slightly, 66.19 asks about practical meditation posture. Is keeping the spine vertical helpful?
Ra's answer is concise. It is somewhat helpful.
Somewhat helpful. Okay. Now, question 66.20. This sounds like a deep one. Dawn submitted a written query about polarities within the body relating to balancing the energy centers of the unmanifested self.
It does sound deep. Ra acknowledges that and suggests it's a good topic for Dawn's own meditation. They give a basic idea. The main polarities relate to balanced vibrations and relationships between the first three chakras and less so the others.
But too complex for a quick answer.
Apparently so.
Uh-huh.
Ra offers to answer more specifically in the next session.
Something to look forward to. Question 66.21 changes topic again, asking about the structure and contents of the archetypical mind. Ra's response here is different.
Yes, it is. Instead of just explaining, Rad encourages the student, Dawn, to offer his observations first.
Why?
To facilitate self-discovery, Raz says. They offer to help refine Dawn's understanding after he explores it himself. It's a beautiful example of guiding, not just giving answers, empowering self-exploration.
I like that approach. Okay, question 66.22 brings us back to pyramids, specifically the energizing spiral from the apex of a small pyramid placed under the head. How does this help?
Ra explains it's different from, say, adrenaline, which is a crude energy boost. The pyramid's vibration is more profound. It charges every cell, space-time, and time-space as if hooked to your electricity, Rouse says.
Wow, so the benefits are?
Sharper mind, more physical and sexual energy, better alignment with the spirit's will. But Ra cautions against overdoing it. You need to remove the pyramid after getting a charge.
Sounds potent, needs mindful use. So 66.23 asks about the best material and size for this under-the-head pyramid.
For the Giza spiral effect in this context, Ra advises a size small enough to fit comfortably under the head cushion while maintaining the Giza proportions.
And is there a single best material? That's question 66.24.
Ra suggests that while some materials might be slightly better, maybe more expensive, they aren't significantly superior to materials mentioned before. The main thing is to avoid baser metals.
Got it. Question 66.25 checks again. Use the Giza geometry for this small pyramid. Is that ideal, or maybe a 60-degree apex?
Ra confirms Giza geometry is excellent for apex energy. They also add a caution. Make sure the pyramid is too small for anyone to physically get inside. And they clarify, for this use, it's the third spiral's energy, not the King's Chamber radiations.
Okay, clear. Now, 66.26 asks if this spiraling light gets absorbed by the body's energy field and connects specifically to the indigo center, the third eye.
Gra corrects that idea. It doesn't directly connect to the indigo center like that.
How does it work then?
It operates within the physical body's field, radiating the space-time cells and their aligned time-space counterparts, which Ra links to the yellow ray here. It's a radiation effect, like sunlight, Ra says, not directly tied to the etheric body or free will in the same way. Needs care.
Like tanning, maybe you need moderation. So 66.27 asks about appropriate use, how often, how long.
Right. Ray advises usually no more than once a day for 30 minutes or less.
Okay.
For some doing specific spiritual work, maybe 2 shorter periods could be experimented with. But the warning sign of too much is sudden weariness.
Listen to your body. Crucial. Question 66.28 asks, can this pyramid energy directly help heal physical issues?
Rhea clarifies.
Yeah.
No direct application for healing physical problems. It might help some people's meditation if used alongside it,
But its main benefits are.
alleviating tiredness, stimulating physical or sexual energy.
Okay, now a big shift in topic with 66.29. Back to planetary harvests, specifically negative ones. Dawn mentions seeing Earth as a cesspool of distortions and asks if a negative planet would have similar disease distortion before its harvest.
Ray confirms that yes, a negative harvest involves intense disharmony, and the planet itself will express that. But how it expresses might differ from what we call disease here.
Interesting. So 66.30 asks for an example of a negative planet and conditions during late third and early fourth density negative transitions.
Ray explains the basic vibrational shifts are similar, positive or negative. Fourth density negative gets denser, harder to hide your true nature. This helps negative social memory complexes form and sets new rules for power over others, service to self.
But the vibrational conditions themselves are the same.
Fundamentally, yes.
Question 66.31 zooms in on physical distortions and disease on a negative planet nearing harvest, and then an early fourth density negative.
Ray notes each planet is unique, but typically in late third density, negative overt conflict, bellicose actions are often more dominant expressions of negativity than internal physical illness. That conflict often drives the negative polarization.
And an early fourth negative.
As the new planet and bodies emerge, conflict shifts more to thought, manipulation, rather than physical weapons.
The expression evolves. So 66.32 asks specifically, would widespread physical disease as we know it be common on a 3D negative planet right before harvest?
Ra suggests probably less common than you might think.
Really? Why?
Because extreme self-interest, which defines harvestable negative entities, often leads them to take better care of their physical bodies and minds. They see them as tools for power.
Ah, so they maintain the tools.
Exactly. Emotional distortions like anger are more likely directed outwards, destructively towards others, rather than manifesting internally as disease.
That's a fascinating contrast to maybe positive paths where suppression might lead to illness. Question 66.33 asks how disease and distortions arise generally related to polarity. Does it cause polarity?
Ra corrects that slightly. Distortions usually come to beings needing experiences for polarization, not necessarily causing the initial polarity.
Okay.
Interestingly, Ra says positively oriented folks might be more prone to physical issues due to less self-focus. Negatively oriented ones tend to mind their bodies carefully.
And unpolarized people.
They generate physical catalysts more randomly, hopefully prompting a choice of polarity.
That really clarifies the relationship between polarity and physical stuff. Question 66.34 comes back to Dawn calling Earth a cesspool of distortions.
Ra revisits earlier points. Unused mental catalyst filters down into physical distortion. Wanderers have extra difficulty adapting and a faint memory that these distortions aren't normal for them.
So is Earth particularly distorted?
While cesspool is an overstatement, Ra confirms that yes, compared to some other third-density worlds, Earth does have a lot of inefficient use of catalyst, leading to significant physical distortion. Pre-incarnative choices also play a role, of course.
Sounds like learning to use our catalyst wisely is a big part of our collective journey here.
It certainly seems that way.
Finally, 66.35 brings it back to the practicalities of the sessions. Don asks if anything more can be done for Carla's comfort or the contact quality.
And Ra's response is just full of reassurance and love. Continue as always in love. All is well. You are conscientious. Simple, loving encouragement.
And the session ends with that familiar blessing.
In love and light.
What an incredibly dense and insightful exploration of session 66 that was. For you, our listener, I really hope this deep dive has illuminated some of the profound wisdom in these exchanges.
Yeah, we've touched on so much. The real nature of healing as self-initiated, the crucial role of our inner state, the unique path of wanderers.
And those intricate links between consciousness, our intention, and even physical manifestation.
This session really prompts you to look at your own understanding of healing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The catalysts you face, the power of your own will and desire in shaping what you experience.
Definitely. Consider how these concepts might resonate with your own life, your own journey of self-discovery.
These are really potent ideas to sit with. We definitely encourage you, maybe listen again, or even better, go read session 66 yourself. There are always more layers.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey of understanding today.
Namaste. I am you, and you are me.